Hello students, today we shall be looking at the administration that was prevalent during Akbar's rule. Let's have a look at the central administration. The emperor exercised absolute power. He was the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and was also the supreme judge. His decisions in relation to political, administrative, and judicial matters were considered to be final decisions. We also get to know that the emperor was helped by his council of ministers consisting of Vakil, that is the prime minister, the Kaji, who was supposed to be the chief judge, Mansabdars, and other ministers. The Wazir was the head of the revenue department. Mir Bakshi was the head of the military department, who was responsible for recruiting and training of soldiers. Khan-i Saman was responsible and took in charge of the royal household. Akbar himself appointed provincial governors, military commanders, mansabdars, and other high-ranking officials. We also get to know that Akbar regularly organized meetings with his officials, ministers, and common people. Diwan-i-Khas was reserved to discuss administrative matters with the officials and ministers. Diwan-i-Khas was also known as the Hall of Private Audience, whereas we also have Diwan-i-Am, that is the Hall of Public Audience, where the common people used to meet the king. They used to file their petition, which was accepted by the king, and the king did his best to solve the problems of the common people. Next, having a look at the administration during Akbar reign, we need to have a look at the provincial administration. Akbar divided his vast empire into 15 provinces called subas. The suba was administered by governors called subedar, who was generally appointed by the king. The subedar handled both civil as well as military matters. The Diwan was responsible for the collection of land revenue and also handled the land records. Each Suba was further divided into districts called Sarkars. Each Sarkar consisted of several paraganas. A paragana consisted of many villages, and villages were supposed to be the smallest administrative unit in Akbar's empire. The town administration was basically administered by the Kotwal. Next students, we need to focus at the army organization, that is the Mansabdari system. Akbar introduced a new policy, that is the Mansabdari system, for proper organization of the army in his kingdom. Mansab means someone who holds a rank or a position. A Mansabdar is a person who holds that particular rank. The Mansabdari system consisted of Mansabdar who had to maintain horsemen and had to depute them to fight battles for the emperor. There was the branding of horses, and also the descriptive role of the soldiers was maintained by the king. We also get to know that the Mansabdars with the lowest rank were required to maintain 10 horsemen, while Mansabdars who were having highest ranks maintained 7,000 horsemen. The Mansabdars, in return for the service, were granted jagirs, from which they got a fixed share of revenue as their salary for the service they provided to the king. The Mansabdars had no say in the administration of the Jagir. The Jagir that the Mansabdars got was not hereditary in nature, which meant that once the Mansab died, the Jagir would pass back to the. We also get to know that Akbar maintained a standing army for which he recruited troops directly. Students, now let's focus on Akbar's religious policy. Akbar's religious policy was based on the principle of Sulah Kul, that means universal peace or peace with all. He treated all religions equally and hence was successful in winning the friendship of Rajput rulers and the respect of the common Hindu people. He abolished the jizya and the pilgrimage taxes that were earlier imposed upon the Hindus. The Hindus were allowed to build temples and celebrate their festivals freely. Akbar's also appointed Hindu officials in his administration, which included Todarmal, Birbal, and Mansingh in high posts. We also get to know that the Rajput princes whom Akbar married were allowed to follow their religion. Akbar even granted lands to people belonging to different religion. And finally, we come to Din-e-Ilahi. Akbar founded Din-e-Ilahi, which contained the fundamental ideas of major religions. Din-e-Ilahi was not a new religion. It was like a spiritual order or a code of moral conduct. Din-e-Ilahi aimed at promoting universal brotherhood by bringing the Hindus and the Muslims as well as people belonging to different religion closer to one another. The emperor was recognized as the God's representative on earth. We also get to know that Din-e-Ilahi was not associated with any holy books, priests, place of worship, and even rituals. Akbar did not force his subjectmen to follow the concept of Din-e-Ilahi. Even among the Hindu nobility, it was only Birbal who accepted Din-e-Ilahi. Thank you, students. Stay safe, stay at home.